we'd like to make an announcement. We will not stick our finger in the air to see which way the wind is blowing. We will take stands, important ones.
I believe that we are standing at the threshold of a new era of American opportunity. If only we have the guts and have the foresight and have the courage.
We will not talk about doing big things. We will do them.
In Maryland, we passed a living wage. We passed marriage equality, and we passed the DREAM Act. We made our public schools the best in America 5 years in a row.
We will allow ourselves to feel, but steel ourselves to act.
The week that Baltimore erupted was a heartbreaking week for all of us in so many places in our country. There are whole swaths of our population that feel unneeded, unrecognized, unnecessary, and unheard. We must do better as a people.
We will never forget where we come from, but always remember where we're going.
My dad was able to go to college only because of the GI Bill. He was from a fairly poor family in Pittsburgh, and only because of a far-seeing and generous nation, he was able to go to college. He was able to provide better for his family. And that's really what our country's all about at our best, is to recognize the potential in each individual to make us better as a whole nation.
This is America. We don't coronate or hand out turns. We earn it.
My goodness. Thank you all for coming out today. Katie and the kids and I want to thank you for being here, and we have a little announcement we'd like to share with you. I want to talk with you today about the American dream, about the American dream we share, its powerful history, its current condition, and its urgent need of rebuilding. Our nation was founded on two self-evident truths: that all of us are created equal, and that we are endowed by our Creator with certain rights to life, to liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And with these words, the American dream began. No fine print, no expiration date. All of us are included, women and men, black people and white people, Native Americans, Irish Americans, Asian Americans, Latino Americans, Jewish, Christian, and Muslim Americans, young and old, rich and poor, workers and business owners, gay, lesbian, and transgender, and straight Americans. All of us are needed. For in our idea of country, there is no such thing as a spare American. There is, however, a growing gap of injustice in our country today. It is the gap between the strong, just nation our children need for us to be and the nation we are in danger of becoming. For today, in America, 70% of us are earning the same or less than we were 12 years ago. And this is the first time that that has happened this side of World War II. Today in America, family-owned businesses and farms are struggling to compete with ever larger concentrations of corporate power. 50 years ago, the nation's largest employer was GM, and the average GM employee could send his kid to college on 2 weeks' wages. Today in America, with dreams of college and a decent paying job and a secure retirement, slipping beyond the reach of so very many. The American dream seems for so many of us to be hanging by a thread. And yet, for America, there is always a yet. And the final thread that holds us just might be the strongest. It is the thread of generosity, compassion, and love that brings us together as one American people. For over 200 years, we have been the architects of our own future, and now we must build anew. My father and mother, Tom and Barbara O'Malley, were born to the Great Depression, and they grew up to be part of that great generation of Americans that won the Second World War. My dad flew 33 missions over Japan in a B-24 Liberator and went on to college only because of the GI Bill. And my mom herself flew in the Civil Air Patrol at the age of 17. They raised their children, the 6 of us. They raised to a secure middle-class future because of the sacrifices and the better choices of their generation. But they would never accept the notion that somehow theirs was the greatest generation, for they believed and they taught us that every generation of Americans has the ability and the sacred responsibility to make themselves great for their country. And so we must, and so we will, no matter the odds, no matter how tough the fight, no matter how big the challenge. And that is the urgent calling for us today, to rebuild the American dream now in our time. Last month, television sets around the world were filled with the anger and the rage and the flames of some of the humblest and hardest hit neighborhoods in Baltimore. For all of us who have given so much of our energies to making our city a safer, fairer, and more prosperous place, that was a heartbreaking night for all of us. For us, Baltimore is our country, and our country is Baltimore. And there is something to be learned from that night. There is something to be offered to our country from those flames. For what took place here was not only about race, not only about policing in America, it was about everything it is supposed to mean to be an American. The scourge of hopelessness that happened to ignite here that evening transcends race, it transcends geography. Witness the record numbers of young white kids killing themselves on heroin in suburbs and small towns across our country. The hard truth of our shared reality is this: unemployment in many cities and many small towns across the United States of America is higher now than it was 8 years ago. Conditions of extreme poverty